Good evening, my fellow Americans. Oh, I'm sorry. This election business has gotten to me a little bit too much. But good evening, brethren, and welcome to the official Grand Lodge Candidates Night. We will hear tonight from those candidates who are in an office where there is competition. In the interest of time and COVID restrictions, only those who are running for a contested office will be here this evening. However, I will announce the names of all the candidates for all the various positions. Let me do that first. For the Masonic Charity Foundation Trustee, we have 4 openings, and there are 4 candidates, so that is uncontested. David A. Dorworth, Covenant Lodge, number 191, the 19th District. Ellis Jacobs, Alpine Tilden, Tentacle Lodge, number 77, from the 3rd District. Michael Pastushin, Peninsula Lodge, number 99, from the 5th District. Jeremiah H. Phillips, Medford Lodge, number 178, from the 19th District. From Historic Trenton Masonic Temple Trustee, there are 4 openings. You have 4 candidates. Therefore, that is uncontested as well. Jeffrey L. Alexander, Mount Holly Lodge, number 14, from the 19th District. Raymond E. Foose, Horizon Daylight Lodge, number 299, from the 15th District. Thomas H. Petro, Princeton Lodge, number 38, from the 12th District, and Richard E. Schultz from Clifton Lodge, number 203, in the 4th District. Contested office. Grand Lodge Trustees. There are 3 openings. There are 5 candidates. William I. Barenbroek, Bluestone Mystic Tie Multidoric Lodge, number 35, from the 5th District. Ronald A. Murad, Atlas Pythagoras Lodge, number 10, from the 10th District. George A. Olson, Genesis Lodge, number 88, from the 2nd District. David I. Steiner, Alpine Tilden Tentacle Lodge, number 77, from the 3rd District. And William Stevenson, Duran Lodge, number 179, from the 17th District. And for the office of Junior Grand Warden, obviously there is 1 opening. There are 3 candidates. Michael Holt, Lafayette Lodge, number 27, from the 10th District. J. Eugene Margroff, Wyckoff Lodge, number 287, from the 2nd District. And Leonard Vanderhorn from Clifton Lodge, number 203, from the 4th District. We will hear from those candidates in a minute. Set the ground rules. Each candidate will be given 5 minutes to give their speech. After all the candidates for that particular office have completed, we will then open it up for answers and questions and answers. You will submit your questions through the chat format within the Zoom. Right Most Worshipful John Ryan and Right Worshipful Andrew Cherney will receive those questions and pass them on to me, and we will then have the candidates each get 2 minutes to answer each of the questions. Remember that the questions should be of a generic nature. They should have something to do that all candidates can answer it. They should not be of a personal nature. It should strictly be a question that each can answer, such as, how do you feel about letting women into the lodge? Something along those lines. I'm not suggesting that you answer that question. That might not work, but that type of thing. Couple of ground rules from our technical department. Do not activate your cameras. We are set up for over 1,000 people tonight. We don't know if we'll get that many, but we can't have 1,000 people on the screen, so please do not activate your cameras. Leave your video off. Select gallery view for your desktop and select active speaker view for any tablet devices. Okay, brethren, this is, of course, very, very important. We urge you to listen carefully to what each of the candidates has to say, as you will be selecting the future leaders of our craft. And what they have to say is important, so I urge you to please pay careful attention. Hopefully you don't have any preconceived notions or have made up firm minds. This is not a popularity contest. If it was, I never would have gotten elected, so keep that in mind as well. Okay, we will get started with the the Grand Lodge Trustees. The order is by luck of the draw. So the first speaker for the Grand Lodge Trustees will be David Steiner. David?
Good evening. Most worshipful Grand Master, Deputy Grand Master, Brother Junior Grand Warden. My brothers all, good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Zoom meeting. My brothers, I want to start by telling you that my name is David Steiner, and I'm running for Grand Lodge Trustee. I want to thank everyone for your support for my year last year and for my run for Junior Grand Warden. As I said before, throughout my travels last year and this year, I had the opportunity to listen to the brothers and hear their concerns. And I'm here tonight to ask you for your vote once again, not for a selfish reason to obtain a title or to get some obvious or gain your wishes and address your concerns. As you know, I believe that Grand Lodge, the trustees, should help the Grand Master and the elected line save money and make this fraternity go into the next level. We can't do this if we don't have the funds and we don't raise the money. We need to raise money for ourselves. In New York, the Grand Lodge throws a telethon. They raised $750,000 last year. In Delaware, they have Brotherhood Night, where they sustain themselves with money they earn on that night. And in fact, they already scheduled this year's after canceling last year's event. In Connecticut, the Grand Lodge has a one-day Grand Lodge session and a semi-annual session, also one day, for legislation. These meetings are held in a modest hotel. They take care of their business and move on. They do not waste the brothers' money or the Grand Lodge's money with excess spending. This is very important at this stage of the game that we're in. We need to make the money last longer and the programs be better than ever before. We are at a time when the TV is more important than socialism. I see my kids home and watching the TV and playing on the games and no social skills. This fraternity is about socialism. We can go out and enjoy each other's company and have a great time knowing and learning, become better men, better husbands, and better fathers. This is the most important thing that you can get from your fraternity. Learn how to deal with men. We are all running for a position, not running against each other. At the end of the day, we're all brothers, on the square, on the level. This is what we preach. This is how it should be. We should not be beating up on each other. We should not be doing things on social media to degrade one another. We should be boosting each other up, helping each other out. We are all here for the same purpose, to make our fraternity the greatest fraternity in the world, as it's been for hundreds of generations. I believe the role of the Grand Lodge trustee is to assist the elected line in accomplishing their goals and moving the fraternity forward. This is a balance between respecting the wishes of the Grand Master and doing what's fiscally responsible for the fraternity. While the Grand Master serves for 1 year, the trustee serves for 3 years, spending multiple Grand Masters. This means you cannot put the next Grand Master behind the financial 8-ball due to the activities of the past Grand Master. But at the same time, there could be unforeseen circumstances that can make this circumstances difficult to accomplish. That's why you need a trustee who can balance all the competing forces in our organization, just as ours. This requires an individual like myself with management and leadership skills, along with understanding of a fraternity through active participation. I hope that you will agree with me and allow me the opportunity to serve you as a Grand Lodge trustee. I renew my promise that I will be present and active. I will run fundraisers for the Grand Lodge and be responsible to our Grand Master and the Grand Lodge. And I won't just talk about it, but I'll do it. My name is David Steiner, and I'm running for Grand Lodge trustee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. The next candidate for the office of Grand Lodge trustee is Ron Murad. Ron?
Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master, Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden, distinguished candidates with me this evening, and brethren who have dialed into this Zoom meeting, good evening. My name is Ron Murad, and I'm running for Grand Lodge Trustee of your Grand Lodge. My bio can be found in the spring 2020 issue of the Jersey Freemason magazine. What is the job of a Grand Lodge Trustee? Why do I want to run for the position of Grand Lodge Trustee, and why am I qualified for this position and deserving of your vote? The Grand Lodge bylaws state that the trustees shall have the responsibility to manage the business affairs of the Grand Lodge. This requires us to understand what the business affairs of the Grand Lodge are. The Grand Lodge exists to establish and maintain a normalcy and consistency for its members and lodges, and to tie New Jersey Freemasonry together. In doing so, it is a business entity with approximately 15,500 members. There are operational expenses, revenues assessed to pay those expenses, and assets to be managed. The Grand Lodge trustees are empowered to prudently oversee this business entity, independent of the elected officials. I can't stress enough, prudent and independent of its elected officials. In managing the business affairs of Grand Lodge, there are significant challenges in its operations, especially in developing and maintaining Grand Lodge budgets. From an accounting perspective, the equation is simple. We have revenues, most of which are from membership assessments, operating surplus, and investment earnings, and we have expenses, most of which are salaries, insurance, the annual communication, rent, and IT. The biggest challenge to revenues is declining membership assessments and investment earnings in a low interest rate environment. This creates the biggest challenge to expenses, and how to hold them in check, what to reduce or delete, and how to cover what's necessary. In my professional career as a CPA and my Masonic career, I've had to set reasonable expectations, rational and realistic processes to obtain those goals, and establish relationships to ensure those goals can be achieved. This included the development of budgets, the monitoring of financial and manpower results, and the implementation of adjustments when actual results do not meet expectations. This has been achieved with others of varied professional experience and time commitments. All of these experiences are relevant to the position of Grand Lodge Trustee. With my extensive business and Masonic background, I was specifically recommended to and appointed by the Grand Master to fill a vacancy on the board 1 year ago in September of 2019. This opportunity has allowed me to have a direct and immediate impact on the proceedings of the trustees in providing a new and business-based voice to the trustees regarding critical financial matters, and for the last 7 months to do so amid the challenges of the coronavirus epidemic. Since my appointment as a trustee, there has been an increased focus on the budget, the challenges of a shrinking revenue base, and the need to control expenses. Despite hard choices to accurately forecast revenues and to control actual expenses in preceding years, revenues have come up short and expenses have exceeded budgets. I can say that the current elected Grand Line and the Grand Lodge trustees are committed to ensuring accurate and fair accounting and estimates for current and future operations, and in fact that the Grand Lodge is operating within budget for its current fiscal year, and I'm proud to have been an active part of this effort. In both my professional and Masonic careers, I've specialized in finding the consensus and common ground and the transparency necessary to make an entity's business model work. As District Deputy Grand Master, past District Ritual Instructor, past Secretary to the Grand Master, a past and current member of the Grand Lodge Tax, Audit, and Ritual Committees, and a member of the Grand Lodge Trustees for the last 12 months, I have the requisite experience to be a Grand Lodge Trustee. I know and understand how Grand Lodge works. I know and understand how lodges work. In fact, I have been asked several times to assist lodges with my professional background in assisting in the development of proper and adequate internal controls to protect lodge assets. I know and understand the challenges that face both our Grand Lodge and the individual lodges. I take the position of Grand Lodge Trustee very seriously, and I now ask for your support in continuing the work I've done to represent you as an elected Grand Lodge trustee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Next candidate for the office of Grand Lodge trustee is William Berenbroek.
Good evening. My name is William Berenbroek, and I'm running for Grand Warden, Grand Lodge trustee. That's in a couple of years. In my business experience, I've been an accountant for the County of Bergen for 25 plus years, managing the budget for the past 20 years. With my experiences working with the budget of over $500 million, I feel my experience can help manage the budget for the Grand Lodge. These are difficult times for everybody. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Our next candidate for the office of Grand Lodge trustee is William Stevenson. If you don't know who that is, it's Butch.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master, Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden, my brothers all, good evening, and thank you for being out here tonight. My name is William Butch Stevenson, Jr., and I want to be your next Grand Lodge trustee. I come from over 120 years of Masonic family tradition, spanning over 5 generations in New Jersey Freemasonry. I've been married to my incredible wife, Katie, for 15 years, and together we have 2 amazing daughters, Michaela and Robin, and reside in beautiful Point Pleasant. I have a bachelor's degree in security management, and I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm a past master of Durand Lodge number 179 in Point Pleasant, where I currently serve as senior trustee, as well as chairman of the Durand Lodge Strategic Planning Committee. I'm also the chairman of the Grand Lodge Suicide Prevention Committee. Brothers, we always hear the phrase that this is your Grand Lodge. And you know what, brothers? That's 100% accurate. This is your Grand Lodge. But let me ask you these questions, brothers. And it's okay if you can't answer yes to these questions. But how many of you have been to a Grand Lodge trustee meeting? How many of you know what goes on at a Grand Lodge trustee meeting? How many of you have had a Grand Lodge trustee come to your district or meeting to discuss with you what goes on in these meetings? Brothers, like I said, it's okay if you can't answer yes to these questions. And the reason why is all that will change with me. I will open up a line of communication to you, the brothers, and make myself accessible. I will come to your lodge communications. I will come to your district lodge of instructions if asked, so I can answer the difficult questions about what goes on in these meetings. So that way you, the brothers, know what's going on in your Grand Lodge. In my professional life, I've been in law enforcement for over 27 years and currently work for the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, where I'm assigned to the Administrative Bureau with several critical responsibilities. One such responsibility is I'm one of the few officers who was trusted with the assistance of crafting and managing of a $75+ million budget. With a budget of this size, brothers, I would love to give my officers and fellow employees everything they want. But, as we all know, there's a difference between wants versus needs. And sometimes hard decisions need to be made due to fiscal responsibilities. Tough decisions are made, brothers, but I ensure that my officers have everything they need in order to do their jobs, not only enforcing laws, but saving lives. One such way I do this is as the agency's grant manager. Here I put in for and manage multiple grants, which are used to purchase critical law enforcement and life-saving equipment. As the agency's quartermaster, I ensure that my employees and officers have everything they need to perform all aspects of their jobs. Brothers, I will work diligently, not only with the Grand Lodge trustees, but with members of the elected line in order to maintain the financial stability of our Grand Lodge and its investments. I look forward to serving you as your Grand Lodge trustee. My work experience in leadership, along with my Masonic experience in leadership, have prepared me for this incredible position. I will work hard not only for you, but for this amazing fraternity, a fraternity that has been such an important part of my family's lives for over a century. With all of us working together, brothers, we will ensure that the Grand Lodge in New Jersey will continue to thrive for years to come. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you, Butch. The final candidate for the office of Grand Lodge Trustee, George Olson, could not be with us this evening, but he will make his presentation via video.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful District Deputy Grand Master, elected line, my brother and all. My name is George A. Olson, Jr. I am a past master of Genesis Lodge number 88 in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. I am running for Grand Lodge Trustee. Currently, I'm a retired educator of 38 years of service in the Hillside School District. During that time, my students were taught vocational and technical skills. My students were given the opportunity to learn a job before taking that job. This has been my philosophy, which has not changed over the years. Since June of 2016, I have attended every public portion of the Grand Lodge trustee meetings. It was not mandatory to attend those meetings, but I went to learn and understand what was accomplished and what still needs to be done. Out of the 50-plus meetings, under 5 presidents, 5 Grand Masters, and 15 trustees, I have learned a lot. The trustees have been faced with many obstacles, hurdles, and concerns over the years. I have to say, every brother who served did what needed to be done. I also can say that every Grand Master and his elected line assisted the trustees to reach their short and long-term goals. I would like to be a part of that. All of my Masonic information can be found in the New Jersey Freemason and on the Grand Lodge website. In closing, there are several things my mother, Julia, instilled in me. Everything can and will change for the better. You have to overcome challenges before moving ahead. Everything is a learning experience, no matter how big or how small. Not getting what you want is often a blessing. Allow yourself to be yourself. Have fun with your friends, especially your brothers. Be kind to yourself and others is always the best medicine. Remember that people's negativity is not worth worrying about. And finally, there is always, always, always something to be thankful for. Thank you, my brethren, for this time, and good day.
Okay, thank you, George, remotely. Well, guys, you must have done a heck of a job, because I was just informed there are no questions for the candidates for Grand Lodge Trustee. Again, I sincerely hope that all you brethren have paid careful attention to what each of the candidates had to say, so that you can give it some serious thought and choose who the best candidates are for that position. Okay, with that, I guess we will move on to the Junior Grand Warden, and our first candidate for the office of Junior Grand Warden is Michael Holt.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master, Distinguished East, my brother and all, good evening. My name is Michael Holt, and I stand before you this evening as a candidate to be your next Junior Grand Warden. For the past 40-plus years, I have owned and managed a family of interrelated, overlapping businesses. This accumulated business experience makes me an asset to the Grand Lodge of New Jersey, and thus to each and every one of you. Many of the skills I utilize daily translate directly to running an organized and profitable Grand Lodge. My ability to read and understand financial statements, coupled with my ability to manage finances, assets, and people, all culminate to provide me with all the tools necessary to run an organization as large, as dynamic, and as structured as ours. My Masonic experience touches on a depth of my real experience in, my unyielding dedication for, proven leadership of, and clear vision for the many parts of our craft. These cumulative Grand Lodge touchstones I possess provide you with real Masonic metrics and are what have made me one of the go-to guys in your Grand Lodge. I am a 31-year member of Lafayette Lodge number 27 in Rahway, where I proudly served my lodge as Worshipful Master in 2001, 2003, and again this year. In 1998, my leadership skills were recognized, and I was appointed as the MSA representative to the Veterans Home in Menlo Park, New Jersey, where I served in that capacity for 10 years. I was then appointed as the state coordinator for all 5 Veterans Homes in New Jersey, where I served another 2 years. My Scottish Rite Dyslexia Center dedication, hurricane relief organizing leadership, membership sustainability framework vision, ARC experience, are but the tip of my allegorical Masonic iceberg. I served Grand Lodge as Grand Chaplain in 2007. I then went on to serve in the challenging position of District Deputy Grand Master for 7 years. Further, I held the responsible position of Grand Order for 2 years, in 2017, and then again in the extended 2019-2020 Grand Lodge year. These were not token jobs. They were hard work, requiring courage, careful planning, sober thinking, and the ability to be fair and just. These attributes give me great insight in what we need to skillfully manage in Freemasonry. 9 Grand Masters have put their trust in me to provide value to them and to do a thorough job for each of you. During my District Deputy and Grand Order experiences in Grand Lodge, I have had the opportunity, the honor and privilege of serving for many years on many Grand Lodge committees, some of which include State of the Craft, Strategic Planning, Suicide Awareness, Masonic Education, Masonic Blood Bank, Plan Forward, Wreaths Across America, and Constitution and Bylaws. My service on these committees gives me a solid understanding of the value our membership demands from the fraternity and a clear vision on how to provide that value back to the brethren. With all that is transpiring in Freemasonry and needing immediate attention are our emergence from COVID, the serious and complex financial management and solvency issues facing plaguing your Masonic Charity Foundation, our COVID stagnated and year-over-year membership decline. What is needed from your leadership at this point of our existence is the steady, visionary, proven, and experienced skills and capabilities I have been providing all along. I do not seek this office for ego, for personal gain, nor titles. I seek to be your Junior Grand Warden because I am positioned perfectly to serve you, to add value, and to move our fraternity forward. My extensive record of achievements are not arbitrary. They are well documented, and they are specific to Grand Lodge. By electing me your Junior Grand Warden, I will continue to work tirelessly for you. We will continue to work together to further refine and grow our membership, create a more structured Grand Lodge where all brothers can come together, be educated, enjoy fellowship, flourish, and succeed. As you can see from my resume, my experience and my dedication clearly detail how I'm prepared to lead, with vision, wisdom, capable of meeting any challenge that may arise. Brethren, please remember, we move forward in Freemasonry with what we know now. In order to be given that enormous responsibility of running your Grand Lodge, that brother needs to have real experience and proven leadership in Grand Lodge. I am Michael Holt. I have that real experience. I have that proven leadership. I respectfully and humbly ask for your vote. Thank you. Good night. May God bless you.
Thank you, Michael. Next candidate for Junior Grand Warden is Eugene Margroff. Eugene?
Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master, distinguished East, brethren all, good evening. My name is J. Eugene Margroff, and I am a candidate for the office of Junior Grand Warden. Thank you, Grand Master, for the opportunity to address the brethren during these turbulent times. My vision for the future of our great jurisdiction is threefold: membership enhancement, Masonic enlightenment, and fiscal responsibility. Membership enhancement consists of Masonic awareness, membership engagement, and most importantly, membership retention. We need to do a better job at raising Masonic awareness. The path forward created by the Scottish Rite Northern Jurisdiction has provided us with an unprecedented opportunity to frame our great fraternity to the public, and we need to do everything in our power to utilize these materials. I will advocate for a budget that provides for printing their marketing materials to raise awareness of Freemasonry in New Jersey, and to make them available by region, north, central, and south, similar to the CHIP program, for lodges to borrow or have a committee come to your event and assist you in attracting potential members. Membership engagement, onboarding, and consistent contact with our potential members and candidates has proven to increase membership retention. The first 5 minutes of a person's new experiences are the most important. We must demonstrate that we are worth their time just as much as we must determine if we are guarding the West Gate. Most Worshipful Brother Coffers, among many others, have been working diligently to provide training in our Grand Lodge mentoring program, and we must continue to utilize and improve this program. We need to welcome and personally invite members and their families who haven't been out in a while to a Masonic event and reconnect with them. Masonic enlightenment consists of Masonic education and programming and leadership training. We have over 300 years of light and knowledge to impart to our members, and we need to provide new and interesting resources. We have taken many strides since the establishment of the Lecture Bar program, the Society of King Solomon, and the return of the Masonic Lecturers List, and we must continue to provide free programs to our lodges to use and give members a reason to come out. Leadership training. Our Masonic Leadership Conference and Education Committee seminars have been a great resource for training the future leaders of our craft, and we need to continue to improve that experience with professional speakers and resources to make them even more valuable. I pledge to create strategic partnerships with nonprofit and professional organizations to provide our members with personal, Masonic, and professional tools to assist in making their lodges and professional lives better. Fiscal responsibility. We must create and maintain a balanced budget. It is the job of our elected trustees to manage our finances, and we must empower them to make those decisions and hold them accountable. We need to reduce our expenses and find innovative new ways of creating revenue. Brethren, if the coronavirus has taught us anything, it is to think outside the box and to continue to adapt. As Masons, our primary goal and duty is to check in on our members. Zoom sessions have proven to be a great resource, and we should develop a strategy to incorporate it to stay in contact with our membership wherever so dispersed. Being involved professionally in supply chain management, I have been working tirelessly to support you, and I'll apply those skills to innovate our Grand Lodge. The Grand Lodge exists to serve the membership, and you, my brethren, are the Grand Lodge. It will be my charge to make sure that we have the resources and materials to make your lodge and Masonic experience a successful one. My many years as a Mason and serving at both elected and appointed positions have provided me with the skills and training that will enable me to lead our Grand Lodge into the future. These are just a few of my many ideas for the future of our great jurisdiction, and we need to work together to innovate in these 3 areas of membership enhancement, Masonic enlightenment, and fiscal responsibility. We have so much talent among our membership to solve the numerous challenges that we are faced with, and only when we work together can we restore our greatness. I encourage you to reach out to me at any time. I am always available to you. Finally, brethren, this fraternity owes me nothing. I am here to serve you. And when it is time to cast your ballot, I hope that you'll put your trust in me. Thank you and good evening.
And our next candidate for the office of Junior Grand Warden is Leonard Vanderhorn. Len?
Most worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Elected Line, and my brethren who chose to Zoom in tonight, good evening. My name is Len Vanderhorn, and it's my honor to stand before you as a candidate for Junior Grand Warden. With only a few minutes before me, I'm not going to waste your time discussing what the challenges and issues are which face our Grand Lodge. Many of us out there know exactly what they are and that they do exist. But what I will do is discuss my platform to meet those challenges and address those issues with three important solutions. Number one is education. Education's a big, broad topic and broken into two categories as I see it, symbolic and operational. Symbolic education includes all of the things that set us apart as a fraternity, including our ritual and symbols, our traditions and rich heritage, and our core values and the tenets of our fraternity. The operational education includes all of the things necessary to conduct our lodges in a fine business-like manner. We take a new man, we don an apron, we hang a jewel, we seat him in a chair, and then we just assume that he knows how to conduct the business of the lodge. We assume that he knows how to produce and manage a budget, that he knows how to produce a trestle board, that he knows how to market our fraternity, that he has good organizational and communication skills, and that he would be a good CEO and manage all of the committees and the business of the lodge. We need to do a better job with education from a business perspective. Additionally, we need to provide education across the board for all of our members, including mentoring candidates, training our officers, providing educational programming for our regular membership, and including providing continuing education for all the upper leadership of our fraternity, including all the members of the boards of trustees. Number two is involvement. Active and engaged Masons stay Masons. When a man crosses our threshold, we need to ask him about his skills, his talents, and his likes, and then ensure that we're providing good organized programming to add value to his membership. Then we need to ask him about his family and what their likes are, and ensure that we're producing good organized programming to make him feel comfortable bringing his families to our lodge and to make him feel part of our family. Number three is personal connection. Leadership's about trust. And trust is about building and developing relationships. Brotherhood is more than just a word. It means treating each other with respect, even when our opinions and interests are at odds with each other. Especially when our interests and opinions are at odds with each other. Brethren, in closing, I realize that I'm not on a journey alone, and that when elected Junior Grand Warden over the course of the next 4 years, I'm going to need to work with 3 brothers before me and 3 who will follow me. And I hope that the 3 brothers before me will receive me and make me feel part of that team. And I know that the 3 brothers who will follow me will be received and engaged and empowered to build a team for the success of our Grand Lodge. My brothers, all 3 candidates for Junior Grand Warden have titles and experience. But leadership, it's not just about titles. It's about action and results. And here is why my experience is different. It is broad and vast and not siloed. And here are just a few examples. I am an educator. I've been involved with the Masonic Leadership Conference since its inception in 2001, since served on 2 more staffs, and again in 2014 and 15, I chaired and directed that conference. I am an ambassador. I'm a member of many of the appendant bodies of our organization. I've held positions of leadership within most of them. I believe every brother is important, and I'll continue to build bridges between our Blue Lodges, our Grand Lodge, and our appendant bodies. I am an administrator. You've placed your trust in me twice by electing me to the Charity Foundation Board of Trustees. I've served on several committees in the last 2 years as the vice president. I've applied my knowledge as a healthcare professional and my business skills acquired when I earned my MBA 4 years ago. I am a leader. I've held multiple positions of leadership over the last 43 years since I had my start in DMLA in 1977. I've held leadership positions at the local,
district, jurisdictional, and national levels. I'm a leader with passion. I'm a leader with proven skills and knowledge, but most importantly, I'm a leader with vision. The vision to ensure the continued success and growth of our Grand Lodge. Brethren, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be with us this evening, that when it comes time for you to cast your vote, you can make an educated and informed decision about our future. During these unprecedented times of ours, may the Grand Architect of the universe continue to bless you and all of your families. Thank you and good night.
Very good. Thank you, Len. Gotcha. Okay. Brethren, I guess some guys typed a little bit slow. We do have a couple of questions for the Grand Lodge trustees. The first question is from Christian Stebbins from Past Master Beverly Riverside Lodge. He says, what are your thoughts and plans on long-range business planning? Given sustained loss in membership, should Grand Lodge consider right-sizing the budget to considering our fraternity membership is and has been smaller than we wish it were? As I said before, what we'll do for the first question, we will go in alphabetical order. So the first, Bill Burnbright, will please respond. Oh, I'm sorry. Did everybody get it okay? Or? Okay, certainly. I'll leave it right on the podium as well. What are your thoughts and plans on long-range business planning? Given the sustained loss in membership, should Grand Lodge consider right-sizing the budget to considering our fraternity membership is and has been smaller than we wish it were? Okay.
If the revenues are not coming in, there is no way you can keep the expenses at the current levels. So we'll have to lower the expenses. We can also try fundraising, but I mean, how many times can you go to the brethren for fundraisings? And you don't want to raise the dues because that just hurts everybody in the long run. So the only way to really balance the budget would be to lower your expenses somehow. Yep, that's my answer.
Thank you, Bill. Ron Barrett?
As I mentioned before, there's two parts of that equation. One is the revenues coming in, and the other is the expenses going out. Having the opportunity to serve on the trustees for the last 12 months, I can say that the attention is being paid more towards controlling those expenses. What must be paid, what expenses we must have, and what expenses can be cut. At the same time, several of the candidates have mentioned the fact that we've got potential growth that we're looking at in terms of where do we see the fraternity going and the growth prospects. The positive end of that is if we can push in the growth direction, we'll have more revenues coming in through membership assessments. It's a two-part equation, as I mentioned. And we need to, and I believe we are focusing on both sides. How can we grow our membership, which would grow revenues, and how can we continue to cut and control expenses? Thank you.
Good evening once again, my brothers. I was in business for myself for 30 years. I couldn't put food on the table unless I made the revenue. Here at Grand Lodge, I will push for programs that make money for Grand Lodge. We need to sustain ourselves. We need to do things that make money for Grand Lodge. The Prince Hall does a raffle for a Mercedes-Benz. They raise about $60,000 every year for themselves at the end of the day. We could be doing something like that. We don't always have to go after our own members, but there are other people in the community that will buy tickets. They will go and do things. We could have a concert at one of our venues here in New Jersey. These things are all possible. The Shriners did it in Florida. They had the Oak Ridge Boys come out and do a concert. That concert raised over $1 million. These are possible things to be done here in New Jersey to raise money year after year for ourselves. We must take care of ourselves, not by dipping into our pockets all the time, but coming up with a creative idea that will bring money to Grand Lodge. Thank you.
Brothers, what can we do here? There's a couple parts to this question. One, in reference to membership for a business plan. We can continue what we're doing now, start bringing members in. We have the Path Forward program. We have the Masonic Sustainability program. The more members we bring in, the more we keep them in, obviously the better revenue we do. As for the budget, our budget this year, I believe, is going to come in under budget. I believe they're coming in under the Grand staff. Continue it. As a Grand Lodge trustee, I will work with the elected line and the fellow trustees to continue the financial stability. The stability that this year they've done a great job with. Brothers, that's my plan, partial plan at least. We can move forward with this. We can move forward with our membership, and we can do a great job keeping things under budget. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, brethren. The second question for the Grand Lodge trustees comes from Mohammed Yatin, Past Master Atlas Pythagoras Lodge. In your opinion, what is the biggest issue facing our Grand Lodge trustees today, and how would you address it? Okay, we'll go in reverse order this time. We'll start with William Stevenson.
Thank you, Right Worshipful Yatin, for the question. What's the biggest issue facing the Grand Lodge trustees? Well, it is our financial situation. It's maintaining our investments where they're at, if not increasing them. But more importantly, it's our budget. It's coming in under budget, or it's at least keeping a balanced budget. And like I said, keep working the way our Grand Lodge trustees have done this year and our elected line has done. If we keep moving forward with that, I think the Grand Lodge will be on good footing. Thank you.
Good evening once again, my brothers. The fine line here is how to keep the balanced budget at Grand Lodge. We should not put programs on the calendar that we cannot pay for. We should figure out a way to pay for things beforehand. We should make a plan to have an excess in Grand Lodge. We shouldn't be worried about just scraping by. We need to have money in the bank for a rainy day. We live in this beautiful building here in Trenton. It costs money to keep this building going. We need to make money and have it here for whatever the Grand Master needs. These things are imperative. Some lodges have gone to solar power to reduce their expenditures on electric bills. This is a great way. Maybe that could be done here. We've done it at the home, and it's lowered the bills at the Masonic home. By that solar field, that acre you see when you drive into Burlington, that's ours. And we did it by leadership that was here at the trustee level. That's what got it done. We're here to serve you, the Grand Lodge of New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Worshipful Muhammad, for the question. Several parts of the answer. One, it's been mentioned, control the budget. And this past year and the immediate future looks like that is being done. More focus is being paid on it. In order to do that, actually Grand Lodge, a little over a year ago, hired a professional accountant, and that person provides accounting and financial statements and investment statements that are reviewed at every trustee meeting. In addition to just the budgets mentioned before, revenues are important. And as we continue to strive for improved membership, there'll be more revenue streams coming in that way. I think another challenge that faces Grand Lodge with the trustees, and I've had the good fortune of seeing it this year, is the communication between the Grand Lodge trustees and the elected line. A more open relationship makes for a better working relationship. And the next piece of that is to communicate better with the brethren. What do the trustees do? Last year I had the opportunity to visit a few lodges and a couple of districts to talk about the trustees. The more that everyone's informed, gets back to education, The more that everyone's informed, the better and well-oiled a machine that we have to work with. Thank you.
Maintaining the budget, good communication between the Grand Lodge officers, the Grand Lodge office, the elected line, and the lodges will help the trustees better plan for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, brethren. That's the only questions we have for the Grand Lodge trustees. We thank you for your responses. Okay, we have a few questions for the Junior Grand Warden candidates. Number one, with our membership in decline, how do you plan to extend interest in the fraternity to the youngest generation? We'll start out the answers by going in alphabetical order. So Michael Holt.
Good evening. With our membership in decline, how do you plan to extend interest in the fraternity to our youngest generation, our younger generation? It's a great question, brother. However, whether you're 18 or 88, it doesn't matter very much. We have a plan, and we have used the plan forward, or path forward, as the billboard and the advertisement that it is, coupled that with sustainability to get guys in the door, tether them with the mentoring program coming out of Right Worship Brother Morris's committee, and then with the Masonic sustainability framework that builds value and adds value to the lodges. Freemasonry, at the end of the day, is a value equation. You have to understand what the culture of your lodges are. You have to understand what your membership wants, and then you have to deliver on it. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but it has to make them feel welcome and make them want to come back. That's what the Plan Forward does. It's 15 months old, and the Plan Forward Committee was let off the leash last Thursday. They'll be visiting a lodge near you in the very near future. Thank you.
Good evening, brethren. Millennials are an increasing membership in Grand Lodge, and we need to embrace them and forge forward with technology without forsaking the technical abilities of our existing membership. We need to engage across all ages throughout the lodges. The older membership or more experienced membership need to understand that this is the future of our fraternity. And we need to open up lines of communication with younger members as well as older members and work on committees that will engage all ages, programming tailored for the millennial generation as well.
Good evening again, brethren. And before I answer the question, I want to thank the Grand Lodge staff and the members who are here this evening to provide for this Zoom meeting. Thank you. To answer your question, my brother, it's very specific. You asked about marketing towards our younger members, and I think that that's very important. And I believe that we market our fraternity to different generations in different ways. If you were to ask one of our younger potential members out there, 18, 19, 20, even 25, 30 years old, about our fraternity, one of the first things he's going to do is he's going to turn to the internet. We need to make good use of our technology. We need to ensure that when someone Googles New Jersey Freemasonry and they arrive at our website, that our website is a good picture of who we are and what we do. Additionally, Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media things, which I don't even know about, which my son tells me about, are all important, and we need to ensure that we're marketing to our younger potential candidates in that way. We need to make better use of technology. And to go further, the Path Forward from the Scottish Rite has done an outstanding job in providing tools, professional media tools, in the form of videos and posters and website to be directed towards potential candidates. We need to utilize that, and that's only one step, one piece of the puzzle in our membership. We need to go even further. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, question number 2. What are your administrative capabilities, especially as it applies to the office of Junior Grand Warden? We'll reverse the order this time and start with Len Vanderhorn.
If my wife were to answer that question, she'd tell you I'm so OCD, it's unbelievable. But my administrative qualities, I believe I am extremely organized. I've served as secretary to various bodies within our fraternity. I am and professionally, I'm a surgical physician assistant, and you can only imagine in an operating room that things need to be extremely organized and well communicated for good outcomes to occur. I served as secretary to the Grand Master for our Grand Lodge, and that position, although a one-year appointment, you work at that position for 4 to 5 years. You work when the candidate is running for office and then throughout his tenure in the Grand Lodge elected line. That provided me an opportunity to learn an immense amount of material, what goes on behind the scenes from an administrative point of view, interacting with the elected line and the staff members, the incoming staff members, and building the staff, interacting with the administrative office and all other venues outside of our Grand Lodge and fraternity when setting up various programming. My administrative skills are extensive, and I hope to put those to good use serving as a member of your elected line.
Good evening, brethren. Aside from my Masonic resume and leadership positions I've held within the fraternity, my professional life, being in the supermarket industry, I specialize in supply and demand. At any one given time, I'm responsible for $1 million worth of assets. I'm involved in human resources as well as scheduling of over 150 employees on a weekly basis. And my annual revenue is in excess of $30 million annually. Thank you.
Good evening. My administrative qualities. I own and manage 4 operating companies on a daily basis. I'm up before light and I'm home after dark on most nights. I run 4 separate payrolls. I'm familiar with general ledgers. I'm familiar with balance sheets, income statements. I'm familiar with profit and loss. I manage assets, finances, people every day, and I manage them very well. The transition to Junior Grand Warden is very similar to what I do in my business life. My business acumen is solid, I do very well, and I would have no problem making a transition into the Junior Grand Warden position and managing exactly the same thing and the same way as I do now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, brethren. All right, next question. You have all had a long Masonic career. During your time as a Mason, what programs have you led that you are proud of for its positive effect on the fraternity? Okay, we'll mix it up this time, and we'll start with Eugene Margraf.
Good evening, brethren, again. In the 2nd District, primarily my lodge, we fostered fellowship through creation of a social half hour before the meeting where dinners were afterwards. Throughout the district, we developed the 2nd District Charity Ball, which has grown to the North Jersey Charity Ball. And we used to have also, well, we still have, our annual retiring RW night, which is, we started in 2007, and it's been wildly popular in honoring our outgoing RWs throughout the district and the adjacent districts.
Okay, Michael Holt.
Good evening again. I have been around in Grand Lodge for 31 years. I've been a Grand Lodge officer for 9 or 10 of those 31 years. In that time, as district deputy in a deemed lay chapter in a district in which I was operating as district deputy, we had a very high rate of teen suicide or suicides within one of our bodies. We recognized that. We had a couple completions, and we had 18 or 20 out of a membership of 100, which was too high. I put a suicide prevention program, which went statewide, which is still operating today. In addition to that, 15 months ago, the path forward that everyone's talking about, I put a path forward committee together with brethren from each district, preferably past masters and white aprons. This was because they could become engaged, they would buy into the program. This program, we use the path forward materials, but then we go to the Where Have the Masons Gone program, the talking point card, where we talk about the features and benefits of membership in Freemasonry. We tether them to the mentoring committee, and then we have the data from the Masonic Sustainability Framework, which came from the brethren, which provide value to members. I'm very proud of that one. In addition to that, this year, under Most Worshipful Gregory J. Scott, we took the Masonic Blood Program over with the idea to collect blood, but in addition to put an organ transplant business in place or program in place so that we could have an organ donation program within the Masonic fraternity. Now, we didn't get there yet, but I'll tell you that we went from a couple of 100 pints of blood last year to over 4,000 this year. We're coming up on 300 blood drives for the year, and that is a huge accomplishment. The Red Cross is meeting in our buildings every day. We are on the map. We are providing the gift of life to society, and we should all be proud of the hard work on all three of those products that I just named, because they're positive influence for the fraternity, and I thank you very much.
What am I most proud of with regard to our fraternity? There are many things that I'm proud of and many accomplishments that I've reached in my Masonic career. Outside of our fraternity, as I mentioned in my speech 4 years ago, I earned an MBA. I was very interested in learning about business and understanding about how all the business people around me in my profession were working and why they were doing certain things. So I went to school. I didn't have to, but I went and I earned an MBA. That's provided me with immeasurable insight into business aspects. Within our fraternity, I've led several organizations. As master of my lodge, I set goals. We met and surpassed all of our goals. When I was commander-in-chief of the Scottish Rite, I set goals for membership, for fundraising, and for providing programs that haven't been done before, and we met and surpassed all those goals. What I'm proud of while serving as secretary to the Grand Master is I redeveloped the way that invitations were done to receptions. That was a cost savings to every single district in this jurisdiction. We saved costs for everybody, every reception the year I was secretary, because no longer did a mailing need to go out to all of the Grand Lodge staff. It saved time and money, and I'm very proud of that effort as well. Brethren, I would continue. I don't want to stand here and recite my resume. I would refer you to all of our resumes in the New Jersey Freemason. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, brethren. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Appreciate your responses. Brethren, that concludes the candidates for the office of Junior Grand Warden. Again, we ask that you listen carefully, think about what they each have said, and make up your mind as to who you feel is the best candidate to lead the craft. Remember that when you've elected Junior Grand Warden, in essence, you are electing a future Grand Master. Before I turn it over to the elected line, I do want to thank everyone, the candidates all for coming this evening. As I said, in the interest of time and COVID restrictions, we only had the candidates for contested office rather. We have them properly spaced out here, and we do appreciate their cooperation. We also appreciate you tuning in. In the current situation with our COVID problems and restrictions, it wasn't convenient or wasn't possible really to have the 3 conventional candidates nights, so we felt this was the best way to reach as many of you as possible. This will be recorded and will be put up on our website, so those of you, if you want to review it, or anyone who was not able to join us tonight, will be able to see it in its entirety. On the Masonic YouTube as well. Okay, very good. Okay, we have 2 other uncontested offices. You just saw one stick his head out the door there, and that is for the office of Grand Secretary. Most Worshipful John S. Ryan is again running unopposed for that position, so congratulations to John. And I was looking for a ball guy to represent him, but I don't see anybody here to do that. But Most Worshipful Douglas R. Policastro will be our new Grand Treasurer, as he is running unopposed for that position as well. We also have with us the current Junior Grand Warden, who is a candidate for Senior Grand Warden. We have any other takers? Okay, just checking. Right, what's Brother Gary? Would you care to wave to the brethren and say hello, or whatever you would choose?
Do I have to keep it short, or? Shorter than okay. I heard that. Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master, our distinguished candidates, and most importantly, my brethren all, good evening. Am I talking loud enough? Brethren, before this started, I checked in with the Grand Secretary, and he advised me that at the time there were roughly about 200 of you that had tuned in to this Zoom meeting tonight. And I'm very excited, I'm very happy, and very proud to know that so many of you care about the future of your fraternity. You know, each candidate had something to say tonight, but some said more. And I'm going to ask you to do a very difficult thing this evening. I'm going to ask you to root through the politics, egos, and agendas that may be out there, and I'm going to ask you to vote for the best candidate with the leadership qualities and experience that will run your Grand Lodge. You know, this vote that you cast for any of these candidates is not to run an appendant or concordant body. It's not to be a chairman or a member of a committee. It's to be a Grand Lodge trustee or your next junior Grand Warden who will eventually become your Grand Master. And I know you will take that seriously. I know you will do the right thing and cast the vote for the right brother to run your Grand Lodge. Brethren, thank you so much for taking the time out to be here with us this evening. Good night, and God bless.
Thank you, Right Worshipful Sir. Our Senior Grand Warden, who of course is a candidate for the office of Deputy Grand Master, Right Worshipful David L. Tucker, could not be with us this evening, but he sends his best regards to all of you. At this time, I'd like to introduce our current Deputy Grand Master, a guy who is running unopposed for the big chair, and that is Right Worshipful Robert Monticelli. Right Worshipful Sir.
Thank you, Most Worshipful Sir. I heard that. Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden, brethren all, good evening. I was watching Gary up here, and I don't know if you noticed, but the man has a face for television. And I really wanted to yell out, Freemasonry for $200. Thank you, Right Worshipful Sir. You're welcome. Brethren, I thank you for the support that you have given me over the last 3.5 years. We have some tremendous challenges, and we're doing a pretty good job of overcoming them. And over my shoulder, you can't see it because it's just above me, but there is a stained glass depiction of Washington crossing the Delaware, which he did on Christmas Day of 1776. And that day, they were facing some incredible challenges. Challenges that would decide the fate of this country. And they did it. They didn't give up. They crossed that river, choked with ice, in the face of a nor'easter, landed on the Jersey side, and marched 8 miles from Washington's Crossing to Trenton. And pretty much where we stand today, where I am standing right now, is where the first and second battles of Trenton were fought. They knew what they had to do, and they did it. They took the challenge. They defeated the enemy, and they created a new nation. We're not dealing with an enemy here, but we're dealing with a challenge. The challenge is to revive this fraternity. And it's up to each and every one of us to do that. individually and collectively. There's a lot of good things going on out there. But it's up to you, each and every one of you, to do the job, to get out there, to find prospective members, to find men who will make good Masons. One thing that I promise you that I will do, and I did this when I ran. I told you I would bring the fraternity in under budget because it's your money, not mine, not the elected lines. It's your money. And most worshipful sir, you did a magnificent job this year with the budget, and I thank you on behalf of the brethren. We're going to keep that going. We're going to keep bringing Grand Lodge in under budget because it's your money, it's not mine, it's not the elected line. And one thing that I will be pushing this year, and it's desperately needed, is we need to reintroduce civility, courtesy, and respect in the fraternity. Somehow it slid away. You know, we let the brand that we have as Freemasons slide away from us, and we're recouping that. But as Freemasons, we need to be civil to each other, courteous to each other, and show respect to each other, no matter what your rank. Because all of the medals we wear here on our chests and all the titles we have mean nothing if you're not carrying Masonry here in your heart and here in your mind. That's the challenge I give to you tonight, brethren. I thank you, good night, and God bless.
Thank you, Right Worshipful Sir. You know, you pointed out the mural there, and I got thinking that perhaps a number of the brethren watching this evening maybe haven't had the opportunity to visit this beautiful Masonic temple here in Trenton. So I might point out to them that we are coming to you from our library, which is a very beautiful facility. We urge you to come up and attend. Again, we thank you for your attention. I apologize if I sound a little garbled at times this evening. Quiet, Gary. I had some dental work done today, and it's been bothering me just a little bit. I had to cut him off before he started. Brethren, we have one other candidate, and that is for the office of past Grand Master. Brethren, the Grand Master.
Thank you, brothers. Please be seated. And yes, I am running for that office, and I will cast that one vote. And you will get that one vote to Deputy Grand Master. Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master, Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden, candidates, my brothers all, good evening. And I do welcome you from historic downtown Trenton and our beautiful historic Trenton Masonic Temple. It's a beautiful building, a lot of history. So as our past Grand Master has said, please come down here and tour the building, our beautiful library upstairs, our 2 lodge rooms. It's a beautiful edifice, and I do encourage you all to come down. I would like to thank our Grand Secretary. Where are you? He's in his office. Our Right Worshipful Larry Plaskett, past Grand Master, I'm sorry for the demotion. Right Worshipful Andy Churdy for everything they did tonight to put this together for our 3rd Zoom meeting. I think we had 2 successful ones live and in person, and this one tonight will culminate the 3rd one. And as you saw, our candidates are here tonight after 18 long months of hitting the campaign trail and trying to get out there and spread the word and what they're all about. These are great men for all these positions. And as our Junior Grand Warden says, please take time, analyze what's out there, and make the best decision, because these brothers that are vying for these offices are your future, and they're our future. And I tell you, it's a hard job, and for these men to come out to do this, I give you a lot of accolades. And I would like to thank all the trustees that are vacating their positions and moving on to other things. Thank you for what you've done for us. We've heard tonight about challenges. Yes, our fraternity is confronted with a lot of challenges, that of membership, that of our finances. But as I will tell you in my address shortly in 26 days, we are bouncing back. Since January, we've lost only 137 members. which is not a bad position to be. We can't control deaths, and that's one thing I wish we could. But you know, we're turning the corner. Our restoration program, where we restored over 461 brothers. This year we've raised close to 400 brothers. So we're doing good. We're doing good. We have to keep these brothers once we get them. Our finances, yes, they're a main concern. And with dwindling membership, you're going to have decreased finances. But let me tell you, there's only so much you can cut in a budget. We're down to the bare necessities. You know, you have your salaries, you have your insurance. It's pretty lean. There's not a lot of fat to trim out there. And the fact is, you're down to 15,466 members, all right? And our dues. You can't make it on that. And if you would just, right now what we're doing, we're taking $220,000, I don't want to get into much tonight, but we're taking $220,000 off our interest of our permanent fund, all right? If we took $15 for every brother, raised our assessments, $15. We don't have to touch our money, our interest from our permanent fund. Let it stay there. Let it grow. Take that money, we would be even, all right? And then every year, either have a fixed increase for your dues or combine that with the national assessment for inflation. We have to keep up with the times. Yes, it's hard to say. $15 out of our pocket a year, that's a couple of coffees at Starbucks, all right? We have to come into the real world. We're a quality organization. You're quality men. We have to pay for what we are, okay? My brothers, I look forward to seeing you all at our Grand Lodge, but it's very important. Right now, we have 253 brothers registered for Grand Lodge. We don't know what to expect. So if you intend on coming, please register so we can accommodate you with seats, tents, food, whatever we have to do. So please, over the next 3 to 4 weeks, fill out your registration online. It doesn't cost you anything. All we're trying to do is get a head count of who's coming. All right? Thank you all for a great night. God bless us all. God bless Freemasonry. Thank you.